Good week of practice. We took into account what Will was talking about coverage-wise. We're playing all off corners this week because of Will. We kind of changed up our defense this week because we, kind of got scared from talking to Will on Monday. So, but we had a good week and ready for Wake. Get ready to travel down there tomorrow.
What's it take for you to really do that?
More conversations, I guess, with coaches, I guess.
Do you get a sense, I was going to ask you on Monday when you were talking about with the press and the way your corners play, do you get a sense that NFL scouts sort of look at your corners a little bit differently or maybe give a little extra credit for that they can sort of survive playing this way and playing this style, that maybe they can handle it?
There's no question about it. In the NFL, you've got to press. I mean, you look at Damari Mathis and Dane and the guys that we put out, Devontae Maddox, and just it takes a different animal to be out there. And you're exactly right, Chris. I mean, when you can press up and you're not scared, there's guys that are good players, maybe faster, bigger, stronger, all those other things playing in different conferences that go play, they get to the NFL. They don't want to go up there and press. Our guys don't get, you just imagine you get into an NFL camp and you get in there and I didn't think we were going to talk quarter play, I was just kidding. But you get in a game or get in practice, get in preseason camp, and you're pressed, and it's like you feel comfortable. I think guys go through 3 or 4 or 5 years of college, and they feel comfortable in what they've been asked to do, what they've been coached to do, what comes natural to them, and then those corners that are playing off coverage, I don't know what the success rate of it. They go to the NFL and then go ahead and have to press, and they're kind of going, shoot, I've done this before. It's new, and I would say it's the same thing for corner that presses all the time that is going into a system that's got to play off. People are going to draft guys that can press and play man and feel comfortable, because half of it's all in the mind, whether you feel comfortable doing it or not, or you kind of get nervous. We always talk to our guys about being in cool school, and sometimes they're not in cool school. Cool school means, hey, like last week we didn't have very good cool school mechanics, which means, hey, play cool. You don't need. We're in great coverage. We don't need to hold anybody. You kind of get into that thinking that he's going to get you, but we're right there. We have to play it better.
When you're facing an offense like Wake Forest with their RPOs, how much more emphasis is on the rest of your defense to still play at the speed that you guys want to play at consistently, even when they're trying to make you hesitate a little bit more, which would put your corners at a disadvantage because they have to cover long?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different deal. I mean, playing, Wake Forest's offense is like playing the triple option kind of. The quarterback is riding in the line of scrimmage. He can hand it off and he'll pat the guy in the back and say go after he lets the ball go, or he'll ride it in there, and if he feels like the RPO is not there, then he follows the guy into the line of scrimmage. So it's really a combination of tackle the tailback on the run. Quarterback may follow right behind him, or they get all the linebackers are sucking up in the box because they're riding in there so long, and then he's dumping it off to any 12, 15 different variations of routes you're going to see. An out by number 2, a bubble by number 2. We call it a missile route, a 10-yard out by number 2, which they ran a ton of them in the championship game. So we worked the heck out of that. But they'll come back to something else. We have slant routes or glance routes on either side. I mean, there's we've worked everything. They've thrown a RPO post. They've done it all. They threw a fade. So they've got that whole repertoire of RPOs off of the number 1 receiver either side or the slot receiver.
It sounds like that takes a lot of eye discipline across the board to watch so many different things in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the corners got to do their job. All they got to be is worried about their fade or their post or whatever, or they run digs. It's safety. I mean, it's really that safety that's putting it in a bind, to be honest with you, because that backer's uncovered him at times. So we'll switch it up on as far as what we do with the outside backers, as far as attacking the box or not attacking the box. Obviously, if you're not running your backers in the box, you'll see our backers will hold at times to sit in those windows. But then, which will make that quarterback kind of a little bit confused, just to see, what we're doing. So it's nothing that I'm telling you that they don't see on tape either. So, so we're holding those guys, but you're guessing, and if we're not holding them and they're running the box to stop the run, then our guys they got to make plays on the ball.
It feels like we're seeing more freshmen and sophomore play each week as the season goes on. Did you expect to have so many young guys playing, starting and playing in key spots by this point in the season?
Well, last week you saw Jordan Basket, I think 4 snaps on defense, and we've slowly got him in there. Rasheem Biles is a guy that played a lot of special teams. He's a football player. He's going to be really good. We're going to probably get him some snaps this week as well. Just little by little, get his feet wet and then see what happens. I'm trying to think of the other guys. I mean, Kenny's been out there for a while. Izzy's played 2 games. we'll try to like to hold him to 4 if we could. Just hoping, stay healthy at that receiver spot. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Any other
BJ
young
made
guy?
his second start.
Who did?
BJ made his
Yeah,
second start.
BJ's I think played 6 games already, so
Yeah.
he's not going to redshirt. We need him. So.
Has your philosophy on red shirts changed at all in the last couple of years where, with the way the game is now, you don't know how long guys are going to be around at one school? That maybe are you less likely to, or are you less inclined to try and hold a guy and try and hold on to his eligibility because you just don't know. You don't know if somebody's going to be here 3 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, some people would say we're not playing. We don't know if they're going to be here. We're not trying to do that. We're still trying to save and protect the kids, year if we can. If we need them, like we would love to play, Izzy Polk at receiver, play for. Like we just had a conversation here at noon about like, okay, what if? And it's like, Izzy's only going in if we, if someone's out for the game and maybe out for the next 2 or 3 weeks. But we get 2 more games, and you'd rather play a guy in 40 plays as opposed to 4. We don't want to do that to anybody. I just don't think that's fair. So it's not just about us; it's about the kids too. And I think kids, see that, that we're trying to protect them and try to keep their years. They all want to play, most of the time. I've had kids come in after 4 games, coach, young guys a couple years ago, like, I want a red shirt. I don't want to use any more of my games. I'm like, okay, Matter of fact, yeah, we've had that. I won't give any names.
Pat, sort of tangentially building off that, I remember I asked you, not about your corner play, but about the quarterbacks. When you made the change, and you mentioned, you said, hey, we like developing guys and we like building guys along, but at the same time, you've had to bring in, not had to, but you brought in older, more established guys. When you look at the conference, North Carolina's got a homegrown guy. Duke's got a homegrown guy. Travis has been in Florida in the state now 4 years, so he's essentially a homegrown guy. Do you have to maybe change your philosophy on how you look at the portal quarterbacks and going forward, and maybe try to get guys that are going to be around a couple of years?
I mean, you'd like to have
Potentially,
you'd like to have 4 years, and you look at Nick Patty, who did a heck of a job for us, and it's great. You just want a guy, okay? The big thing, I don't think anybody cares if he's here for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. It's just like, let's make sure he's the good one, right? You guys all want the good quarterbacks, right? Nobody will be happy if he's a bad quarterback. Yeah, it's great. He's been here 5 years and he stinks. Nobody wants that guy either. But we're looking for the right quarterback, and you can't sit here and paint yourself into a corner saying we're never going to ever take a transfer again because Christian's the transfer.
No, I know.
And again, everybody would like to have the 4.5 year, the 4-year, 4-game Kenny Pickett. That's a perfect situation, but it doesn't always work out that way.
But is it hard though? Is it sort of like a chicken and the egg thing where you want to develop guys, but at the same time, if you keep bringing in other guys from outside that may be more established and might pop the freshman on the depth chart, you've had guys here that have come in young and not stayed because guys filter in above them. Is it tough to?
It's tough.
How do you get off that?
Hey, the situation we're in right now, the situation we're in recruiting right now is it's wide open, and kids are transferring, and you got to just play it by ear. And there's no exact science right now at this point. So, would you like a quarterback more than 1 year? Yes, and you just got to play it by ear. If Caleb Williams wanted to transfer, he only had 1 year left. We got to take him. We're not going to take him. Heisman Trophy. So you play it by ear and get who you get.
Pickett started for 5 seasons. You think we're ever seeing anybody do that again?
Well, that's a great question.
At one school,
At one school, yeah, that's a good question. Probably say no.
Can't remember if it was before Virginia Tech or Louisville, but you talked about Bob and just how hard he works and what a positive guy he is. How rewarding was it to see him have the kind of game he did against Louisville and break through a little bit?
It was great. I mean, it's good to see all those guys get their opportunities and throw the ball, and you hope you can get a little bit more of that every week. Whether it's play action or drop back, whatever it may be. But we want to see everybody have success. That's why they all came here, and it was good to see Bub. Really, the last 2 weeks have 2 big time routes down the field for touchdowns.
Pat Paquin told us that Christian's been spending a lot of time in the receiver room. How unique is the time that he does that? And what do you see as the value?
He's in that receiver room, and again, I don't see when he's in there. I know he was in there, 5:50 this morning watching tape in the receiver room. He's in the receiver room because Coach Signetti's in the other room, and he can't get the film himself. We don't really have a quarterback on set, so he just placed himself in there because he's got a place to watch videotape. Other than that, I'm not sure if he's been in with the receivers. When he was in there this morning, there was nobody in there except him. I couldn't answer whether they're
Well, he said
in there together.
he's with the receivers. He's been spending a lot of time with them in that room. Do you
Good.
see that?
I haven't
what
seen it
is
because I'm usually in my room, watching my tape. But I think that's huge if they're doing that. I've talked to Coach Underwood about that. But again, it doesn't shock me, and it wouldn't shock me if Phil was doing the same thing. But
You talked about the importance of the outside linebackers being in the right passing lanes, being in the right spots. How have you seen Solomon and Bengali? I know Bengali just came back from injury, but Solomon seemed like he was in a lot of the right places last week. Have you seen him grow and understanding how he fits in the game?
yeah, I mean the Shields has been really good. I've been again, Bengali was rusty last week. I hope he's not rusty this week. He needs to play really good for us to have a chance on the road. So. But the Shields has really been, he's been sharp. I mean, he's really bought into the linebacker position. He's physical. I've been impressed with him a lot. So and he's doing the right thing. So again, this is one of those ones that you start to attack a gap and then you think it's a pass and you pop out to try to help and it's one of those you just got to keep going and blitz the quarterback and go sack him. Get sucked up.
Sorry, does Donovan's role? He's such a good tackler. Does he give you the chance to be a little bit more flexible to say not necessarily him being a linebacker, but maybe like a dime backer where you guys can use that, but also use his athleticism to play safety at the same time?
Well, I'm confused with the question. You want to play
Like
nickelback?
you can use him not in a traditional safety or linebacker role, but in a sort of a tweener role to help in situations like that where he can help against the run, but also maybe be quicker than some of your linebackers to help against the pass.
Yeah, I mean that would be hard to do. We couldn't put that in on Thursday, but you're saying use a nickelback instead of a linebacker, right? Because it's quicker. Yeah, I think they're still in a run pass conflict. Okay, it's called a conflict, and if you're a step faster, I don't think it's going to help you at all. I mean, and the fits take a long time to work. That would be something we wouldn't get into, just because of all the run that they're going to at least try to do against us. So it's a good thought, but it's not what we do. And
It seemed like Louisville was getting close on a few of your extra points, maybe getting close to Ben, maybe even contacting you. Were they just getting through your protection on that, or what was happening in some of those?
it was operation. Our operation's so good that they shouldn't get to it. Okay, I mean, and again, we're trying to protect it up inside, and they're going to have to get it off the edges. If you get it off the edge, you shouldn't. But I think Bambrim was a little loose on the left side, if that's where you saw it coming from. Our left wing was opening up the gate, and we think we've got it fixed this week. We'll get it fixed, and we'll get a new guy in there.
You maybe get an extra kick out of watching the last time we played Wake Forest, or was it just another game in our files we have to study?
Say that one more time.
I'm sorry, I have a tooth pulled today.
No, you didn't. That's okay. No, I could hear you, but I didn't understand last time we
Did
played.
you ever get a kick out of watching the last Wake Forest game, or was it just another game that we have to study and think about the result of that?
No, I didn't get a kick. No, not really. I mean, you saw some of the big plays, the interceptions, the Eric Howlett's catching balls like this and all that. You saw them as you go, and you sit there and say great play, but you're not thinking about we won that game. It's like, but we watched 2018 as well. When Jimmy Morrissey got run up underneath, and we lost him for the next game and the next game, but we clinched the Coastal down there in 18. So those have been fun games and a lot on the line. This one, there's not as much on the line except a chance to get victory number 3.
So fake slides not in the playbook this week?
Fake slide. We did practice that a couple times out there today. I mean, the fake slide. What a joke! Have you seen anybody else do it since? No. It's not because it's illegal. It's because it was whatever. Huh?
Clausen wasn't happy about it.
You saw my tweet after that.
With the report out about the investigation into Michigan with potential sign stealing, what kind of work do you guys put into protecting your program from anyone that does try to sign steal? Is that something you guys even think about? Do you have any takes on that?
You see our big tarps up out there. Let me tell you, I'll throw it out there. Maybe the NCAA will read your article today on that question. I think it's ridiculous what goes on. That doesn't shock me if it happened. I'm not accusing anybody, but to me, that's been happening for a while, and I think it can happen with someone going to other games and watching stuff and stealing stuff. And you could sit in Acrisure Stadium in row 5 from the 50-yard line and take Chris Peak camera right there and just video their sideline the whole time. And I've heard of people doing this where they match up the video. Here's play. Here's the signals for play 1. Here's play 1. Here's the signals for play 2, here's play 2. And they go, oh, okay, you know, when he taps his nose, it's an inside zone. When he taps his ear, it's an outside zone. Hey, outside, inside, right? I mean, so there's a lot of that going on, you know, and I wouldn't be shocked, you know, when I was at Cincinnati, I mean, this is how far it goes back. When I'm at Cincinnati, there was a team we played in the conference, in the Big East Conference, that, you know, we heard, you know, was filming during the game. So if you go play at, you know, I'm just gonna say at, you know, Chris State, okay, because of you. If you played at Chris State, I don't want to name anybody, and you know you got a home game, well, you're up in the press box from Acrisure Stadium. It could happen, and we, you know, we played Louisville last week. We could have a camera facing and video everything you got for. So for the next year when we go there, we got all their stuff. So I've heard that stuff going on. There's been other teams that have gotten busted for that. It's you know it's crappy sportsmanship. It's not what's supposed to happen. Whether you travel to a stadium and do it, whether you do it in your own stadium. You know, I think it's tough. We worry about our signals all the time. You know, we change our signals up. We change who's signaling. I think we got a pretty good, you know, beat on that. That's why offensively we do wristbands. That's why, you know, Whipple used to bring them over and talk to them, and you couldn't steal that signal. Steal that signal. You know, so there's some merit to it. You know, it's hard to steal a wristband number, I think, but maybe I'm a knucklehead and I don't know if they're stealing numbers, but you know, there's a lot of numbers. But it definitely happens, and it would be nice if someone put a stop to it, because it's not good for the game.
I think we forgot to ask you about this Monday. Nate Yarnell bumped up to number 2 on the quarterback depth chart. What went behind that?
Just because he's working it, we feel like, you know, and again, it could be anything we want to do, but you know, we just moved it up in there, and you know, I think, you know, he's been good in practice every day, and just kind of where we're moving.
Looking at the Wake Forest quarterback situation where their starter got benched and they brought their backup and their backup got injured and they had to bring the starter back in, how beneficial do you think it is for your quarterback room to wait until the bye week to bring in Christian instead of having to maybe come in the game with Bill Orleans?
You know, it's I don't think it was beneficial. I'm not going to sit here and say that was the good call. You know, it all depends. Everybody's got a different situation, and you know, I don't watch tape with their quarterback. And see what Clausen sees or Ruggiero sees. So it's hard for me to answer that. But everybody's got to make their own decision based on their own timetable and knowing their kids in that room and what's good for them.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much.
Anything